we are not delving into the theory of market research because there is a lot, you cannot cover that in 1.5 hours. So we're going to take it at a more high level. Okay. Now please note, this session is more about you. Okay. I want to hear more from you. I'm just going to give you ideas and teasers. So please raise your hand, ask questions and respond, right? So there are 2 mics here. So as soon as I ask a question, you have to raise your hand. Please respond, whatever comes to your mind. It does not matter what you respond. Nobody is here to judge you, okay? So nobody is judging you what your response is. It's just that it will make the whole session little more interactive, okay? So what I'm going to talk about first is market research, and then secondly, I'm going to cover a bit about my experience because I'm based in Dubai. I work with a lot of multinationals, local conglomerates, which are looking to enter into the Middle Eastern region. Or, please settle down, quiet, please settle down. Or companies, let's say from India, which is looking to enter into the Middle Eastern market, or a Middle Eastern company, which is looking to enter, let's say from UAE, you want to go to Saudi Arabia, or you want to go to India, right? So every market has its own nuance. Every market is different. What will work for Starbucks in the US will not work for Starbucks in India. India is different, right? Our eating habits are different. The way we shop, silence please. The way we shop is different, right? In India, Starbucks is slightly more, in my view, little experiential, right? Wherein it's more of a social thing. You go to Starbucks because, and it's a slightly premium offering from a perception based Starbucks, if I'm talking about. Whereas if you go to North America, it's more of a grab and go kind of thing. Coffee, right? You enter a coffee shop, you grab a coffee, and then you run for your work. You may sit there for a while for a chit chat, etc. Right? So the whole value proposition of Starbucks in India versus what value proposition you have in North America is different. So every market is different. So the product or service, anything which we're going to talk today about from an ideation, creation point of view, is going to be to understand the local market, the local nitty-gritties. As the, in our earlier introduction, the Honorable Vice Chancellor gave some very nice examples of things, of ingredients or products which may be very unique to the northeastern states, right? Now you guys will know more than me, who may be an outsider. So for you to build a product which is around, which comes from the local community, will be far easier. It will be little better, right? So with this, this is how our program is going to be structured. We're going to talk about market research for startups. We're going to talk about market sizing, what is market sizing, etc. Then we're going to talk about how do we succeed in international markets. And post lunch, we're going to cover business model canvas. Now, before I start, I just want you to raise your hands. Who is in the, I don't know, I'm not interested in the stream you are in, but are you in the first year of the university? Just raise your hands. You're in the first year of the university. Okay, so I see some 10 hands. People who are in the second year, okay, that's a sizable chunk. Okay, around 30. Year 3. Okay. Now, thank you so much. Then, silence please. Anybody from the master's stream? Masters? Okay, so we have a good mix. Okay, very good. And how many from services, let's say hospitality? Okay, a few. Okay. How many engineering versus liberal arts? Engineering? Okay. Others? Other streams? I would guess the rest of the everybody, right? Okay, so that's good. And last but not the least, anybody who is currently running a startup idea, a startup which has converted into giving you some revenue, or there is some, light of the end of the tunnel. Anybody like that? I have met a few. Okay, so you have 4 people, very nice, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you're seeing some revenue in the business. Very good, very good. I was nowhere in the picture, while probably as the Vice Chancellor said, Sir said, we didn't knew the word startups. I think this is a more new word. The other word which is frequently used is an entrepreneur. Anybody who can define the definition of an entrepreneur? Entrepreneur? You want to give it a try? Give it a shot. Give it a shot. Who is an entrepreneur?
Entrepreneur is someone who generates wealth in the process of taking something from inefficiency to something that's more efficient.
Is being profitable important in entrepreneurship?
Not always, but generating some form of value can be considered as a metric.
Right. Very good ones. Anybody else wants to give it a shot? Yes, please.
Sir, according to me, the definition of entrepreneurship or of an entrepreneur is that an individual who capitalizes on the problems and provides a solution to it, and from that solution he also earns income or value.
Very nice, beautifully put. So obviously, as an entrepreneur, you're trying to, because if you're not providing a solution, the business will run out of the whole steam. There has to be a problem solving element, and once you're solving a problem, obviously there has to be a demand you are meeting, right? So there is a customer who feels the need of that product or service. The customer is buying it, and as the customer is buying that product or service, he's paying you for that, right? Because to build your product, to build your service, you need money, right? So you need constantly money to come into the business. So this is the whole gamut of what we call as startups, entrepreneurship. Very nice. Okay, so is marketing an art or a science? Any thoughts? Please raise your hands. Say whatever comes to your mind, or you could just stand up and say it loudly. Yes, please. Yes. Hello. Shoot.
So it's an art. It's an art. So marketing is an art actually.
Marketing is an art. Any other different view? Yes. Please stand up and say. Marketing is both art and science. Very good. Okay. So yes, marketing is both art and science. Why science? Because you're trying to delve into data. You're trying to delve into preferences, right, of what a customer wants. We're trying to establish various, what we call as, variables, right, of why a particular product is bought. So marketing is fundamentally when we talk of. So now I'm going to touch upon very little, in a little way, various techniques around. Now, how many of you have already heard of the term qualitative research and quantitative research? Yes, there is a hand, please.
Hello.
Qualitative are those whom we can count. Like, for example, in qualitative, whenever we rate, like from good and excellent, from worst to excellent, and in quantitative, it likes in quantity, in numbers. So, on that, that's all.
Anybody else? So any idea that's thanks for your answer. So any idea which you will go and create, ideate, thought process, build around it. The first thing you would need to is to go to the market, to quantify the opportunity, to understand who the customer is, to understand who my target market segment is, where do I think the product or service would be positioned? Now, a lot of these words which I'm using, you will hear over your university years. These are no rocket science. These are simple words from marketing, management. So we're talking of these terms which you will hear more often now going forward, which is the target market, the market segment, the end customer. Where you will hear of words like B2B, B2C. Anybody who knows the difference between B2B, B2C, C2C? Yes, please.
So B2B means business to business.
Yes.
B2C means business to customer.
Right.
Yeah, business to business means when two business collaborate with each other or like they are dependent on each other, it's business to business. And when business to customer, when we directly deal with the customer, like when we directly sell our product to the customer.
Okay, and what is C2C?
So customer to customer.
What do we do in that?
So when two customers they resell their products. They buy from one business and then they go for reselling.
Absolutely correct. Please have a seat. So, absolutely bang on. So, while you would work on any business idea or a business model, right? So, the first thing we need to, so let's say I met one of the gentlemen who is here he's trying to manufacture shoes, right? Now, if you're trying to manufacture shoes, you act as a manufacturer, right? So if you look at the whole value chain, who all are involved in the value chain till the shoe reaches to the end consumer, which is all of us in the room, right? Who all are involved in the value chain. So anybody can highlight who all, except you, except the guy who is doing it, who are the people who are involved in the value chain. So let's just say, so we have the retail shops in which it will be sold, right? Now, the shop which is retailing those shoes, they will procure that, right? So there could be a importer involved, right? Importer, exporters, what we say. Who else could be involved? So there could be a platform which is involved. Should you sell it online in Amazon? Agreed? So there is a platform which comes into picture. What else? How else can you sell something as simple as a shoe or a slipper? Making use of middlemen. Yes, there could be, and we hear a lot of hue and cry in the agriculture business, all the farm strikes which we heard of. There are a lot of middlemen. So in my view, as long as each person in the value chain is making money and adding value in the chain, it's okay. Middlemen can also thrive. See, in a country like India, which is very diverse, right? So I was reading a news on how the various direct channels, direct platforms have led to a closure of a lot of small grocery stores, right? I think it's not good. So we hear a lot of policies being made by the government, because the government's role is also to protect everybody in the different value chain, right? So while we may say, oh, it's very nice to have an Amazon, a Zomato, delivering at your home steps, but at the same time, if there were middlemen who were involved in passing the product from A to B place, if he gets knocked off, right, because of technology, because of better processes and systems, I think it's not a good thing, right? Especially in a country like India, which is quite poor, and all these people in the value chain make their living out of it, right? So everybody in any business which we talk of, there are different stakeholders which are involved, and each stakeholder has a role to play, and each stakeholder is primarily here to coexist. However, having said that, yes, there will be businesses which will come, which will try to sell directly, right? So we hear of a lot of businesses, let's say, which is wherein you say, well, we are farm directly to the consumer. From the farm, we're directly supplying to the end consumer. Now, nothing wrong in it. It's a nice business model. But if I have a farm, right, my whole focus will be to build the farm, to build the crop, all of that, right? And then to distribute it directly requires a whole different set of ideas, marketing spend, push, I need logistics, etc. So generally you will find as you dwell more into this, it's always good to own a particular part of the value chain. You don't want to own everything. And when I say own, means you don't want to be in everything, right? So if I am another analogy I will give you is if I am let's say a developer, right? And I build apartments, right? Ideally, I should not be a contracting company. Contracting company is who I will give the contract, they will build, right? Because if I am the developer who is building residential real estate, my only job should be to sell the real estate. Because only if I am able to sell, will the money come in. So why should I get into being a contracting company? Because contracting company is a big headache, right? Do I want another headache? I already have one headache because I need to sell what I am building because that is going to give me money. So this basically is about building a focus, right? It's like we are entering into an age of specialization, super specialization. So the other thing which analogy which I use a lot of time is if I have a heart related problem, I would go to a heart surgeon, right? I would not go to a generalist medicine doctor because the generalist will give me generalist type of advice. So in today's time, businesses are moving into a phase, and only when you reach a critical mass, size, do you become a Tata group, right? Tata is into everything, right? You could come back and tell me, well, Tata is into everything, but Tata is very big. They have taken years and years and years of strategic planning, finding the right opportunity in building what they are. But each of their business runs in a highly specialized, they have a CEO for that business, and that each individual business runs as a very specialized individual P&L, right? So the whole message which I'm trying to pass on is that we are in an age of specialization. You do one thing right, you champion that one thing, which will then, you scale that up, and then you delve into something else, right? So if I'm another example would be if I am a restaurateur, if I have a restaurant, I should focus again within the restaurant. What kind of business model do I have? Am I doing a cloud kitchen? Am I doing a fine dining restaurant? Am I doing a casual dining restaurant? Am I doing a fast casual restaurant? So restaurant industry is segmented into a number. Am I doing bulk cooking? Am I doing only weddings and conferences and events, right? So those are very, very specialized areas. So what is it that I want? Because I cannot be, as a business, I cannot be everything to everyone. To the end consumer, unless you have reached a critical mass that you have fairly big business, you employ a lot of people, you need to do that one thing right, for the business to be sustainable and profitable. Any questions so far? So I will slightly digress from the topic because I think what is important is, yes, you need to know what is qualitative and quantitative research, but I think this session is more about correlating it to an actual live example, right? Because that is what this whole 1 week is about, wherein you need to start thinking about ideas, and ideas come when you constantly think, what is the problem? Like the example the VC sirs gave about during Diwali with all the noise, the dogs get, so it's a problem, right? So can there be any solution to that? Is there any other product currently which exists in the market? Can that product work in an Indian market? Because see, the other way to look at it is, and which we will cover a bit, is market sizing. So if we even innovate and try to create a product for the dog, right? So the second question we need to first answer is the market big enough for me to sell that product around the year? Diwali happens only once, right? So if I'm able to sell it to somebody, right? And then Is there an after sales element in that product? So let's say you buy you buy that the water machine, the Kenwood, right? So a lot of these machines basically come with a AMC offer. So the machine is cheap, but the whole game is that every 6 months when you call the guy to clean it, he charges you a significant value. Let's say 3, 4, 5,000. So in that business model, the whole money where the Kenwood makes is on the servicing part. It's not the one-off machine. So everybody who has bought that machine needs to get that serviced, right? So relating that example to the dog's solution which we are trying to find, if I have sold a product I am the customer, it has been sold to me. As a company, what is the recurring money which you can make out of me, right? So this is, while we solve a problem, it is very important to also understand and estimate what is the recurring demand, or will somebody buy it again, right? Or is there any other situation, or is there any other, since we have thought so seriously about the dog issues, is there any other dog issue which I can solve? So one is the noise issue. Is there any other issue? Is there a leash issue, right? You generally don't tend to put the leash so can there be innovation in that, right? So you need to broaden your offering of a solution which you can think around a pet dog, right? So what we are saying is when you come up with a business idea, business thought, right? You have to first come up with, basically you define the question, you define the problem statement, right? And that you are linking it to the market need, how big is the market size, who is the current competition. Now another thing which we need to be constantly aware, a lot of businesses are not really innovation. So if we talk of Zomato, you talk of Swiggy, right? So Zomato was started a few years back in India. Now it has gone through an IPO process. But if you look at the Zomato model, it's nothing innovative. So somebody was doing in the US, what the Zomato guy did is, he just copied that business model, okay? And he was the first guy to do it, okay? The other example I will give you is Lenskart, right? Glasses, there is nothing innovative, okay? Somebody was doing else in a different geography, he's copied the same model. Now, if you look at, in the hospitality industry, you would have heard of a company called Oyo, right? Oyo. Young guy, he was 18, 19 in college, he was able to raise money. If you look deep into Oyo's business model, it's nothing unique. It was I say he got lucky, he was able to raise money. Then he expanded his business model into various other things. So initially his business model was that Oyo will act as a pure franchise model. So he will go to any small, let's say you and me own a 20-room hotel establishment, and so the biggest worry for a hotel establishment owner is where will the customer come from? How will he come? How much will he pay? Right? Which channel will he come? So either we are running around getting those customers, or I subscribe to a channel, to a larger network. So a larger network are also companies like Marriott, Hyatt. These are large companies, right? So in India, for example, the Marriott, the Hyatts, they don't own hotels. They manage hotels. So the hotel is owned by a local real estate investor, right? Who could be a real estate guy, it could be any individual from any walk from life. He builds the hotel, he then partners with Marriott, right? Marriott operates that hotel. So the team which Marriott will bring in will be trained as per the Marriott guidelines. Second, you get access to their reservation network, because Marriott is a very big company. They are able to sell all over the world. They have sales offices, right? They have a global distribution system, which helps you to fill in the rooms, right? Which is most important. Third is they are able to set standards, KPIs. They will build the team. The general manager will come from their side, right? So you basically what Marriott, Hyatt, they've all done is to Accor, right? They've created an operating company, right? And that operating company has a lot of value today because they are running various assets all around the world, right? Now, if I compare Marriott, Hyatt with the Indian hotel operators like Taj Hotels, Oberoi Hotels, they have a different business model. So Taj and Oberoi's in India largely own their real estate, right? So the company in their balance sheet has the real estate as well, right? So they own the real estate and they run it themselves. So the fundamental difference between a Marriott and a Taj Oberoi is, one is a management company, the other one is a owner and operator. He owns the asset and he runs the asset, right? So it's not about what is right or wrong. These are two different business models. So a lot of times if I am a prominent businessman from Guwahati, right, and I'm building a hotel of 100 rooms, so I would take a strategic call based on what I see in the market. I will see, okay, who in Guwahati, who are the current 4 and 5-star hotels in the market. So I will say, okay, there is a Ramada, there is this. Okay, I'm not sure, is there a Taj here? Taj and Oberoi? Yes, Oberoi. Sorry? Vivanta as a brand is there. So if I am the owner of a hotel asset in Guwahati, so I will see Vivanta by Taj is there. Oberoi is very, very little choosy about their specifications. And then I will see, okay, there is no Hyatt Place here. There is no Courtyard by Marriott here, right? So then I will think, why not approach these hotel companies, right, to run their operations, because I don't want to do it. I don't want to run as vishalhotel.com, right? So there is always a value which operator as of a business which brings to the table. Now, moving into what are the 4 different stages of market research. Now again, we're gonna delve into research, which is our core theme. And from there, we're gonna delve into some live examples. So obviously, when you are ideating, when you're building an idea, you come up with an idea, thought process, and then you have to go to the market to validate that. How do you validate that? You validate that by, you could do a very unstructured, you could build a discussion guide, right? Go to the market, whoever my respondent is, I would do the interviews, I will build all the data. With that data, I will, let's say, come up with 5-6 key major points, right? Now, I need to take those points, build another quantitative questionnaire, and then go to the market. Quantitative questionnaire is more closed-ended. It gives you a very focused conclusion to, if you want to be very clear, okay, this percentage of people are saying this, this is the kind of answer I want to. So generally in research, you tend to combine both the research methodologies. So usually you do qual first, always as a thumb rule. Qual is followed by quantitative research, because in quantitative, I just then need a very specific answer as to what am I trying to conclude for the business, right? So now, moving to consumer decisions are based on brand perceptions, right? So all of us, when we go and buy a particular product, whether you're buying a FMCG product, right? So there is a amount of perception you have already made. You know Maggi is owned by Nestle, right? So we all carry a perception. We know, let's say a Ramada hotel generally is positioned as a 3-star hotel. So we already have that perception in our mind. When we talk of Taj Vivanta, we know it's a 4-star brand, right? When you talk of a JW Marriott, you know it's a 5-star hotel, right? So it's very important. one needs to be clear as you start a venture. What do I mean to my customer? Who is my customer, right? Am I playing at the high end of the market? Am I selling a very expensive product? Am I selling something which is mid, right? Or am I selling something which I call a mass market product, right? So if you're selling a mass market product, you will sell more, right? Because it's a mass market product, you're selling more. Margin is less, right? But the volume is more. So it's a volume game. If you look at a luxury business, right? So you take of Gucci, you take of Louis Vuitton, those are bags. Or now this can happen across any business. You talk of FMCG, you talk of consumer goods. Let's take consumer goods, right? So you can get a television if you want to buy at as low as, let's say, 20,000. You could go get, I mean, there's no limit, right? You could go up to 3, 4, 5 lakhs. So obviously the offering of a 3, 4, it's like a home theater experience. Now it's a different experience, right? So generally when we are building ideating any concept, any idea, any business, we need to funnel into who is it meant for? Who is my buyer? Is he a cost conscious buyer? Am I doing something mass market? Am I doing something very niche, right? So those are the kind of questions which we would need to think and arrive at the answer. Because you can't mean the same thing for different customers, right? For a luxury customer, you can't take a mass market offering. It will not appeal to him or her, right? So it's very important that as a brand. So again, brand is a word. You start as a new product, and as a product gets established, you're then called a brand, right? So that's the evolution curve. So it's important to dwell around this a lot as to what do I mean to the end customer, right? It's a very important criteria. Now we will move around new target market, changing customer needs. I think we have now very important as part of the whole exercise when we are doing who my customer is, who my target market audience is, also to understand who my competitor is, right? So as much as it is important to understand who my customer is, how big is the market, whether I'm an export-driven product, whether I'll be consumed locally, it's equally important to understand your competitor. Because a lot of times you will find that we see, so let's say you go to a grocery or a supermarket, right? Now certain products you see are, usually India works on MRP, right? Usually all that's the regulation of the government. So we all tend to work on MRP, and then you would find when you go to a supermarket, sometimes there are special promotions which are running, in which items which are, let's say, close to expiry, or the supermarket store has acquired them in bulk, he wants to give it at a special price, right? Or a special offer. Now why would he do that? Any thoughts? Stock clearance, very good. Any other idea? Why do you do promotions? To bring in footfall, of course. If you're a supermarket business, the consumer should relate and know that, okay, every Saturday or Sunday these guys have promotions, and there are 10 items, random 10 items that they put on promotion. So the consumer is then inclined that, boss, I have to go here because these promotions happen face to face in the store, right? Similarly, if you're an e-commerce business, you would find Amazon to run promotions. There are items, and these are provided by the supplier or whoever is the seller. So it's largely to drive traffic. So in the US or even in Middle East, I see a lot. You run Diwali promotions. In the US, you have around the Christmas sale, right? Now, these are occasions when people buy a lot because of the festivities, and all these large companies would target very, so sale or discount or special deals entice a customer to buy, basically, or it acts as an attractive point. A lot of times you do it, whether you are a wholesaler or a retailer, you also do it because sometimes the companies are tight on cash flows. There's no cash coming in, the sales have dropped. So suddenly you need, cash to come in. You will do a big promotion and then boom, over 10 days, there's a lot of cash coming into the business. So because you were tight on cash as a business, so promotions are very integral part of, and it acts as a marketing tool. Discount again is a marketing tactic. It's a marketing strategy. So with this, basically, we've spoken about R&D. We're talking about when you do projects, you need to research, you need to understand who my competition is, and from there you would launch. Whether now in retail, if I have to take the example, you will find a lot of times, let's say we talk of sunflower oil, right? So when you go to a supermarket, you will find various brands of sunflower oil in the pack. Now the retailer, what they also do is, a lot of times they would create a private label. Would anybody know what a private label is?
They used to change the MRP tag and the dates, something like that.
Okay, anybody else? Private label, what is a private label? Okay, so private label is basically, let's say you are a supermarket chain, okay? You have various brands of sunflower oil selling in your store. Since you are procuring these from different suppliers, you will reach out to one of the suppliers who will also has his own sunflower oil, and you will tell him, boss, I want to create, so let's say if I'm Spencer's and Company, okay, as a grocery retailer, I will tell that company that, okay boss, I'm displaying your products at the price we have negotiated, etc. I want you to do a private label for me. Private label is basically wherein the supermarket chain's name would appear, okay, so it will be called Spencer's and Co. sunflower oil, right? And typically you would find private labels of the supermarket would be the lowest, price lowest. Now, if I am the brand who has done the private label for Spencer and Co., from my perspective, why do I do it? Because I do it because it's incremental sales. I know Spencer and Co is going to take more orders from me, right? Because he's creating it under his brand, and I know there are consumers who will buy that, right? And so there is always a need. There is a lot of perception. There are a lot of consumers who think that they want to buy the cheapest or the most value driven. And generally, private labels tend to give that offering. So if I am that company who made that private label, for me, there are two kinds of sales now which are being achieved. One is the private label brand, which I'm doing for Marks and Spencer, and one is my own brand, right? So I have created two different products of sunflower oil, which I'm able to give to the consumer, because there is a consumer who wants to buy the lower priced private label brand, and then there is another customer who thinks this is cheap, I want to buy something expensive, but in reality maybe the oil is the same. So everything boils down to how you position, how you package the product. Clear? Any questions so far? Okay, let's move forward. So we've briefly discussed on the marketing mix. So these are the terms as you study your management classes, you would hear of, marketing mix, which is your pricing, advertising. Now, if I have to just briefly touch upon how marketing happens. Marketing has changed a lot over the last 5 to 7 years, okay, because I have seen it very, very closely. Earlier, there was print media, okay. There was advertising across various channels like radio, television, etc. Then you have the outdoor hoardings, right? Now, if you see, the world has changed completely for how advertising happens for most of the product categories, because now there is a role of, in the earlier word you would see in case of India is a lot of Bollywood actors, acting as ambassadors, right? Now there's a huge shift which has happened from that kind of advertising to influencer advertising. So now things have become more specialized, right? Now you see a good, successful hockey player, for example, right, who scored many goals, who gave you a decisive win, act as an influencer because of, let's say, whey protein shake, right? So there is a company which is making whey protein that wants to relate with somebody who is healthy and in that segment. So who better than a sports person, right? Because the sports people are very, very conscious about what they eat, right? So they eat a lot of, they will talk about more protein, less carbs, balanced diet, this much of calories, right? So we have seen a huge shift. Brands and companies are spending now less on outdoor hoardings. Earlier you would see, now what you see, if you look at the newspaper, the big ads are primarily from the real estate guys. If you look at the past, or there could be a big, a Tata advertising their, a fridge, a washing machine, that kind of stuff, right? But all the personality-driven advertising has moved to influencers now. So there's a huge shift from the, which basically means that the younger generation, the millennials, they relate, they don't, see, the person who is a millennial may not really relate to Shah Rukh Khan today. That's a reality, right? So there's an evolution of entertainment which has also happened or happening. We don't, so OTT is popular now because you want to watch content at the time you want to watch, right? In our days, we used to wait for that at this time this serial will come or this entertainment will come. Those days are over. Now it's about, well, I want everything in my watch or I want everything in my mobile. I want to see it at the time which is convenient to me, because this time, let's say, I'm going to play some sport or whatever. So the consumer basically has changed. What the consumer is watching has changed, and thus, and we're seeing a lot of, if you look at the advertising business, the branding business, they're really on a decline. Branding is currently on a decline because obviously, if I'm talking from a branding agency perspective, there are a lot of options which AI tools will provide if I have to create a logo, for example, right? So technology will come in, right? But that does not mean branding agencies will cease to exist. They will still exist, but there will be a larger role of technology in building those businesses. So we basically spoken about the relation of R&D, brand, portfolio. We've spoken about brands, marketing mix, commercial team and market research, how this. Now with this, I'm just going to show you a report which we do, because as I said, we work with brands and products to, it will just give you an idea. Okay, so as a research business, which is what I do for a living, is we work with brands, products and services which are looking to enter the market, to help them understand various markets, the competition, so this particular client is a brand from, it's called Buffalo Wings, okay, and it's from the US, North America. Now, the study was done for a company which runs the Buffalo Wings franchise in Iraq, in Erbil. And that same person wants to take the franchise for the Abu Dhabi market in UAE. So the purpose of this research is for him to understand a new market, right? What is happening in that market? Who are the players? Who are the competition? How are they doing? To understand how much of sales they are doing, and which location he should open the store, right? So this will just give you an idea on how, obviously you will do some of these as your projects in your academic journey, which will be in your, let's say, your marketing submission or management submission. But this is just for you to give a flavor. So this is how the report is structured. There's an executive summary. There's a casual dining market we study. And as I said, F&B market is divided into 4 segments. There is casual dining, there is fast casual, there is fine dine, casual dine. Basically, there are 4 segments. So we are here interested on the casual dining market. From there, we delve into the consumer preferences. And as I said, we wanted to understand which locations this particular concept should come. We studied the competitors, and from there we move into the opportunity assessment and the competitor profiles. So this is where we zeroed in on the research methodology, which was a mix of primary and secondary. Primary, again, a mix of qualitative research and quantitative research. I would skip this to come directly to the report. So, okay, so this is where we start. So you start with studying the Abu Dhabi F&B market to understand what are the key questions, what is the demand in the market, what are the factors supporting overall demand, which is people, the consumers. How is the casual dining market doing? What are the total number of stores, locations? Okay, how much do people spend in them? What are the trends in the market? So if you look at the market from a total outlook size, okay, and this is something we're gonna cover in the next slide, is around market sizing, is what is the total size of the cafes and bar market, okay? Then the casual dining market, fine dining, and the others. So here the interest for us in the research is the casual dining market, because the client's brand falls under this segment. So what is the total number of outlets, how they have grown over the last 5 years from a volume and value perspective, right? So this is the value in US dollars, how the industry is growing. What are the drivers? Increasing population, growing urbanization. Then what are the trends which we are observing in the market? Like we are seeing more and more concepts entering into cloud kitchen, right? There is a shift in delivery, right, which is happening, which has already happened post-pandemic. Now a lot of us tend to order delivery. The rise in the role of technology, how we conduct our lives. Increased preference towards healthier diet. So this is a trend which is not unknown. I think today the consumer at large is more conscious about what they eat, what they don't want to eat, and in terms of what calories they want to. So as you grow older, sometimes you have a lot of these health issues. So generally the consumer is becoming more and more aware. We are also seeing a growth in the trend of plant-based meals. Anybody who knows what is a plant-based meal? Anybody? So plant-based meal is primarily, this is a big trend now in the market, is, let's say you have so we have the paneer, right? What we understand as paneer. So the equivalent part, if I don't want to eat paneer, is tofu. Okay. Now there is a trend in which, okay, so somebody says, well, I don't want to eat let's say chicken or beef, okay? So now there is a trend in which through the vegetable items, okay? So the item will taste like chicken or like beef, okay? But it's basically vegetarian. So it's got like a flavoring. So the whole, you would wonder why would you do that? Because in a lot of markets, people have become, due to health issues, okay, that I still want to have the chicken flavor, but I really don't want to eat chicken, right? So that's basically that segment of the market. So if you just, after this class, just Google plant-based meals, you will find even in India, there's a lot of products which are being developed. And these are largely long shelf life, right? And so this is a growing category which will grow quite well over time. The other is the introduction of DIY kits. So what are the challenges in the business for this business that we're talking, right? So F&B business is very tough to operate. The margins are shrinking. Where do margins shrink is if I'm selling my product through Zomato or Swiggy, obviously I have to pay out to them, right? Which is a significant, some of them take a very significant higher share. And they're very smart. Whatever your published price is, right, they take a percentage of that. So if I still want to sell at a discounted price in Zomato or Swiggy, what they would charge as a platform is on the published price, which I have agreed with them, right? So I may want to give discounts, so it means you're double discounting in a way, right? You're paying them at the actual price, and if I have further wanted to give a discount, right? So that is all your payout basically, right? So your margin is ever shrinking. So there's a decreasing margin, obviously growing competition, which is if any product or service you are in, there's enough and more competition. This concept is basically is a liquor based concept wherein you will serve liquor. So obviously there are it's difficult to find good locations which are licensed. So any place which sells as a restaurant which sells liquor is called a licensed restaurant. Then we studied the consumer preferences in terms of how many times do you dine out, where do you go with family, do you go with friends, which cuisines do you prefer, etc. Why customer prefer certain restaurants over the years? You would find some restaurants are very successful versus some restaurants which are average. Why? Then we study the consumer spending across the various categories, alcohol driven versus non-alcohol driven. Then we look into the consumer spending trends. Now these are a series of this is basically quantitative research data slides in which how many times you are dining out, whether for brunch or dinner, weekends, weekdays. Now this is just data which will come in handy when you're preparing your business plan basically, right? Or you're trying to establish who my customer is. So consumer preferences for the menu, consumer drivers for restaurant selection. So which restaurant do I select and why? So the first factor is the food variety, right? Isn't it true? Whenever we want to go out to dine, the first thing you want to decide is what food do I want to eat, right? Second is ambience. Third is food taste. Then comes service. Then the location. Maybe that place doesn't have parking, right? So if I'm going in my car, it's a hassle. So location is a criteria. Next is the entertainment. What are the entertainment options if it is a casual dining restaurant? And then if there are any signature dishes for the restaurant. Then we study the locations because like a lot of businesses, like retail, like F&B, the success of the business depends on the location where you are based. Okay, location can make or break you, right? In a lot of retail businesses. So location is extremely important. So what we did in this study was to, we basically identified 4 areas, 4 larger locations, and we said, okay, we see these as opportunity areas and we will study them in a deep fashion to understand. So these were the 4 locations which we studied from their rentability perspective, space availability, does it have liquor license, what is the potential of the location, who is the competition in those locations. So if you see that particular slide, so the competitor names are mentioned, right? So lock, stock, barrel is basically a concept. Stars and bars is a bar concept. Black tap is a bar concept. Tavern, pub. So these are the competition, right? So if tomorrow you want to say, I want to establish a concept such as this, do I want to be in a place where all these businesses are conglomerated? Maybe it's a wise thing because what happens in F&B, you also want to try out newer places, right? So if you say there are 4 nightclubs located in the same area, you will say, boss, this is the more happening place, I will go here, maybe next time I go to the next place. So in F&B, particularly, conglomerating businesses in an area does help, right? Even in other retail type, you will find that there are certain streets or certain locations where a particular product is sold, right? In abundance, right? So it helps the business. That is, it's basically an economic theory, right? You put everything together in one place, there is likelihood you will do well. That particular category will do well. That is one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is, I go into a place where there is no concept like this. The market is underserved. So then you as a business owner have to decide whether I want to be in a place where there's a lot of competition, but given it is F&B, right? I want to be in this place because it's an happening area. Or you say, no, I don't want to be here. I want to be in the other place where there is no competition, okay? The area is decent, okay? And I want to build my identity over here, okay? And you argue, okay, I have advantage A, B, C. And that A, B, C could be, okay, this area has parking issues, right? Here I don't have parking issues because people will need to park, right? When they come to a nightclub. So that's a strategic call the business has to take, whether I should be located here or I should be located here. So that is the purpose of this whole exercise basically, right? And then these are slides which are depicting the location assessment. Then this slide basically outlines what is the size of the restaurant we're talking about. So we found that competition A is 3,200, other one is 6,400, 8,000, 5,000. And then based on our interviews with the industry, we are recommending that you open a venue which is, let's say, 5,300 square feet, right? And the other side is the number of seats, right? So again, now generally in the market you see the restaurants are becoming smaller, the kitchen is becoming bigger because consumers dine in and there is a large element of delivery also, right? So I need a larger kitchen. Earlier the kitchens were small, right? You had more dining, but post-pandemic this trend has changed because the customer is ordering more, right? So I need to align my business accordingly. So now you're seeing more sleeker and smarter restaurants, right? So yesterday I went to this concept I saw on the road where I'm staying. It's called the Kulfi House, okay? Has anybody seen Kulfi House? SG Road, what was the road? GS Road, okay. Now, Kulfi House is basically a franchise. It's a Chennai company. They have like 100 stores across the country. And so this basically guy from Guwahati, he has taken the master franchise for them, okay. And I asked him a few questions and basically there's no royalty. Why there is no royalty? Because all the ice creams come directly from Chennai. They come through a train. Okay, so the guy who is doing the mass production, okay, he's already making his margin over there. He's shipping it. So all you have done so there is something called as franchisor and franchisee. Is everybody clear what is a franchisor and a franchisee? Yes? So franchisor is McDonald's as a global company is the franchisor. Okay? McDonald's come to India, right? And then there is a local Indian company which will typically, India is divided into east, west, north, south. Generally, if you talk of, most of the businesses treat India like that, east, west, north, south, because they have the region has to be big enough, okay? And each region has its own nitty-gritties, right? Challenges, customers are different, etc. So McDonald's would give East India franchise to a company. Generally, McDonald's, I think there are two companies basically who would do East, West, North, South, or the two scenarios. So the franchisor is McDonald's. The franchisee is a Jubilant, whatever, which is a listed company now. So there are some large companies which become the franchisee. So they handle the territory. They have so they would pay royalty to a Burger King, to a Subway, to a McDonald's. So similarly, this gentleman is running the Kulfi house, which is again an Indian franchisor. He's a franchisee. The board displayed the name of the whatever hospitality company he had, XSRSZ Hospitality. And then there is no royalty. He's buying the products, the kulfi from there, which gets shipped, and he's retailing over here. Right? Obviously, what he needs to ensure is that which is the best place in Guwahati to sell kulfi, right? So the argument is, okay, you want to be in a high street where there is a lot of footfall, there are people coming and going, right? And there are a lot of hotels around, there are a lot of retail, etc. Right? You don't want to set up a kulfi shop on a back street, right? People, for a lot of desserts, right, a lot of it is impulse buying also, right? You're passing by, you finished your dinner, you finished your meal, you say, oh, let's try a dessert, right? You just jump in. So location is very important for a lot of businesses, particularly kulfi in the case we are talking about. So this is where I'm talking about, why I brought the kulfi example is, what should be the size of my outlet, right? If you look at an Annapurna, which is also in that road, versus a kulfi house, Annapurna needs a bigger space. South Indian food, the dosa gets soggy. Yes, there's a delivery, but largely people want to come inside and eat, right? And you generally tend to be there for 30 minutes, right, to have your full meal. Kulfi, I can finish in 10 minutes and walk away, right? So you need a smaller place for kulfi. You don't need a big restaurant for kulfi. You need maybe 10 to 15 seater, right? 3-4 tables, because the turnaround is very quick, right? Now your volumes obviously are less in a kulfi, right? So you need a smaller space because you don't want very high rent, right? So you need to do a financial model to understand how much kulfi I will be able to sell, right? What are my expenses? What are my staff expense? What is my labor, rental expense, energy bills, etc. I would need all the, the hardware which is probably supplied by the franchisor, all the machines to keep my ice creams, right? They need to be running all the night. So obviously, if I'm an ice cream parlor, your electricity bill needs to be taken care of. And then you need to see what money you are making, right? At the end, the business needs to make money. This is the competition assessment to understand, okay, how fragmented is the market? Is there a few players which are in this category, or there are a lot of smaller players in this business, right? So we call it a highly fragmented market. Now this is the quick analysis we have done basically on these 4 concepts. How many outlets do they have? How many seater? What are the hours of operation? What is the food variety? What is the food quality? What are the meals served? What is the pricing? And when I say generally in F&B, pricing is you say how much is my average, if two people were to come and dine, what is the average ticket size, right? You have to take an average value or average per person, right? Annapurna, if I'm going, what is the average spend? Because somebody will if there are 5 people coming, maybe they spend 3,000, whereas there's one guy coming, spending, he's only coming for breakfast, let's say 300, 400, right? So average of the day, what is my average spend per customer? That I will put in my financial calculations to arrive at my P&L. Okay, from there, of course, these are licensed outlets. So there is of course alcohol. What is the service style? Now this is a fast casual type of a concept. Then it's very important to understand what are the peak times for the business, what is the ambience. So you would visit these locations to have a look and feel, right? A lot of times when I do competitor analysis for any study, okay, I go myself. If I'm studying, I don't know, let's say a steel market study I'm doing, okay, I generally tend to go to the warehouse to understand, okay, what kind of steel are we talking about? Okay, are we making finished products? What is the end product? You need to feel that. In case of restaurant, I would visit all of them, right? I would visit them for lunch, I will visit them for dinner, right? Because that is how you will be able to comprehend what is happening in the business. So the easiest way to comprehend or understand any business is to go as a customer. Like, this is easy one, right? Because it's a restaurant, we can go and eat, right? This is the easiest one. But if you're selling, if you're selling a product, right? Obviously you can take them to your friends and say, boss, please sample it for me, right? So depending on what the product or service is, we need to test. And then we're talking about sales channels. It's very important to understand what the popular dishes are, because so menu is extremely important in a restaurant. Menu, you would find different strategies being applied. There are restaurants which keep the menu very, very small, 1-2 pages, because they think these are my key flagship offerings and I want to stick to them. I want to be very good in this only. Versus the other strategy, I have a very, very long menu, right? So it's a strategic call. Obviously, you will find that generally in a menu, a few dishes give you 70% of your revenue, 80% of your revenue, right? So it's again deciding what should be your focus. Then from a marketing perspective, you look at things like, what are the ratings, like TripAdvisor, what is the overall theme? So I could be a bar, okay, and a bar come restaurant, and I could theme my restaurant around, it's a sports bar, right? So the concept is sports. I could get further specific. I could just create a soccer bar, right? Only soccer plays there. Irrespective cricket comes, I'm only playing soccer, right? Or I built it around personalities, all sports personalities, right? So again, it's thinking what is the theme that you want to appeal with, because you don't want to do what those two guys are doing. I want to be different from those two guys, right? Why would I want to copy what they are doing, right? So it's figuring out what is the niche I want to play around with. And then this is again a benchmarking of the items, certain items like fish and chips, wings. We've done a price benchmark because again, this is the strategy in retail. You find some retailers, certain products, they will price it very cheap. It's called a price penetration strategy. So 2-3 items in a menu are very cheap, okay, and rest are at par. I will share an example of Tim Hortons in subsequent slides and recommendations. So I will close this now and we go back to our, okay, and I need to show you a video which we will do post. Okay, so we have now 10 minutes and we're gonna cover. Are we good for lunch or we can continue? No, you can continue 5 minutes. Huh? Okay, we'll continue for 5 minutes, then we'll break, right? And post that we have a very, yes please. Sample size for research. Okay, very good question. So I will take the example of the restaurant which I was talking about, right? The restaurant, can I have silence please? Hello, 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 hello. Please silence please. So somebody asked the question, what is the sample size? So if we talk about the restaurant study which I was showing you, the competition there is, let's say, around 6 restaurants. So I would conduct qualitative interviews, okay, through an unstructured discussion guide, visit those restaurants. So usually I don't go with any pen and paper. I just maybe write down later on with my notes, but there I would not carry anything, because you're just talking. You're talking to a waiter, you're talking to the chef, you're collecting and synthesizing information, right? So I would do anywhere between, let's say, 6 to 10 interviews with the competition, qualitative, unstructured, discussion guide, and then if you want to be specific of, let's say, you say I want to do quantitative questionnaire with the end consumers. End consumers are people who are coming to this concept and dining out. So my qualifier question will be people who do visit a bar/casual dining concept, let's say two times a month. So I'm only interested in speaking to such people, because if you say that I don't go to such concept, then you are not the respondent to that survey, because what information can you give me? So that criteria is the qualifier. So if that criteria is a yes, I will continue with the questions. So in that you could do a sample of anywhere between 240 to 350. So competition is around 6 to 10, B2B qualitative, discussion guide driven, quant if you're doing with consumers, we're talking of 250 to 350. That should be enough. Yeah. Okay, now we're gonna spend 10 minutes. I'm gonna finish this and then we're gonna move to the next topic in the post lunch. Okay, now how many of you, this is a very important topic, any business that you start is to understand how big the market is, right? You don't want to start something where the market size is either too small or where there is too much of competition, right? Isn't that logical, right? So every opportunity that you will assess, including the one which the vice chancellor sir discussed around the dog, solution to the dog, my first thought process would be, is the opportunity big enough? Because the opportunity is not big enough, it's not viable. You will not be able to make money, right? So that is the first question. The moment he said that, I was thinking, is that big enough? I don't know the answer. We need to research that. Or are there any other related opportunities that we can create for the pet, the dog? Can there be more opportunities? That is what we need to think, right? So a few terms which I want you to be familiar, maybe you will learn these in your marketing and management classes as you get along, is the following. Okay, so look at this slide. There are different, so I will start with the outer curve. It's called the total potential market. Okay, so let's take an example of, I think the easiest would be a Zomato, Swiggy type of a scenario, okay, in which, so you have the whole F&B industry, okay. So the whole F&B industry is this, which is four categories I said: casual dining, fine dine, fast casual, and there is one more which I'm forgetting. That is this, okay? The outer curve, right? Then we come to total addressable market. Anybody who wants to take a guess within that total, with an example, what the next circle would be? So the next circle, in case we're talking of F&B in restaurants, would be the last case study which I showed you, casual dining market. So let's assume casual dining with a bar. Let's assume this is the total F&B industry. This is the casual dining market, right? And then as you funnel go inside, you're talking of sub-segments within that. You understand? So this segment could be of that, the final addressable market could be that of the total F&B industry, of the casual dining bar industry, how much is only the liquor business? Only the liquor business. So if I'm doing a market sizing, what is my total in the F&B industry? How much is the liquor-driven F&B market, including liquor sales? This is the opportunity, right? So basically you start this, you're drilling, you're coming to the addressable. Now this is this you can study over days and months. This can be a pure mathematical calculation also. Okay, it is a mathematical calculation. You will say so. Let me see if so I have put these descriptions. I'm happy to share this slide. Now, this is another term you should make yourself familiar, is a bottoms-up approach and a top-down approach. Okay? Anybody has any idea? Anybody has heard bottoms-up and a top-down approach? So this again relates to market sizing. Okay? This is basically, we use this every day, all our studies, we tend to use this, to do this. So let's say, let me take a different example now. Let me move into the manufacturing industry. Okay? Manufacturing, let's say we talk about steel industry. Okay? And within steel, let's say I'm interested in recycled or value-added steel products I want to create, right? So you have the steel raw material, and then from that I want to drill and make value-added steel-related products. So the total pie which I showed you, that is the overall steel market. Okay? So what I will do is, the first thing, if I'm based in India and I'm studying the steel market in India, okay, the first thing I need to see, what is the total raw steel which is locally being produced. That is the first number I need to get. There will be a lot of data available. Okay? What is the total steel production by volume and by value? By what? Volume and value. Volume equivalent to in INR or dollars, right? Then I need to figure out and be clear how much of the steel, this overall steel, is exported. Clear? How much of the steel is exported? The third thing, which is less likely in case of India, is there any steel being imported? Okay, so local production, export, import. I will get the net number. You run a calculation, you will see this becomes your total India consumption. Let's assume, let's call it India consumption. Local production, export, minus the export you will minus, and then the import which is coming in. This will give you the total number, and within that then you will study across the industries, various industries which are using steel, to say, okay, which industries use value-added steel. Value-added steels are planks, there are different finishes, it goes into construction, etc. So I will have to do certain primary interviews with all those different industries. So there I'll have to pick up information, nuance, okay, what percentage of that total steel is this value added steel. So let's say hypothetically of the 100, if my total size is 100, 30% is the value added market, right? So I already had the total volume value, right? I know now 30% is the value added market, right? So that becomes kind of my addressable market for value added products. Now that data which I get, that is a mathematical number which I have got from the government statistics. I will then do a bottoms up and a top down approach. Now this basically means that there is a triangulation methodology. One, you have used all the government statistics. The second thing is you will interview all the competition. I will interview Tata Steel. I will interview Steel Authority of India, right? So government statistics. Second, competition. Third, who is the third? Any guess? Government statistics, competition. Who is buying from Tata Steel? Customers. What are customers? Another term for customers? Buyers or B2B customers, right? So when I say triangulation, government statistics, which is the second thing? Competition. Third, the buyers, right? So I need to speak to all these three and find a correlation, right? So there will be a correlation among all three that will basically go into my feasibility. So just for ease of closure of this discussion, just think it like this. Anything which you want to create tomorrow, okay, anything, you are thinking the things from three perspectives. One is, if it is a manufacturing, you have to think what is the local production, what is the export, what is the import. That will give you the volume value. First thing. Second thing, for whatever you are working on, who is my competition, right? For that product category. And third is, who is the buyer? These three things you need to correlate. That's it. Right? This is a very high level thing. Of course, then comes market dynamics, certain product categories will be oversupplied. So when you do the supply and demand, which is buyer and seller analysis, you will find that certain industries, certain products, certain categories, there are oversupply. There's an oversupply, right? So for restaurants, if I have to take that as an example, certain restaurants you will find it's oversupplied, but doesn't matter in the restaurant industry, because in restaurant industry it's also to do with the quality, right? If my food is so good, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that particular cuisine is oversupplied. Okay, then you are going by a conviction that, okay, I am playing a game of this cuisine and I think I'm going to create a superfood, super offering, and thus I'm willing to take the risk. Clear? So thank you so much. This was the three things. I think, let me just see. Okay, so post lunch, we're going to cover quickly in half an hour on how to succeed in international markets. So here I will share my experience of mostly Middle East, and this can apply anywhere, right? So tomorrow you are thinking of bringing a franchisee, okay, an international franchisee into India. You need to think this way, right? What will work in the US will not work here, right? It's a different market. So I will cover this as one thing, and then we will close down by discussing the business model canvas, and for that we will take a slightly different discussion route. So we will have 4 startups from your university who are in slightly advanced stages. So we will need 4 chairs here. Yes. Okay. So we'll do a panel discussion. So we will have just to share with you, we will have this business model canvas, okay? We will go heading by heading so you understand and comprehend what value proposition means. And we will ask these guys, how did they arrive at their value proposition? right? So I think it will be a good takeaway for everyone, and it will help them to further refine their value offering. Okay? Thank you so much for being a good audience. See you after lunch. What time should we meet? Back? 2? Okay, 2:15, please be here sharp. So we will finish on time. We don't want to take it too long. I think we should be done in an hour if we start at 2:15. So please be on time. Thank you.